It's the start of the new year, which means it's time to make new goals. So in this video, I'm gonna preview my new hybrid calisthenics routine to pretty much just learn new skills and continue building strength and of course, muscle. Okay, so before we get into what I'm gonna be doing this year, let's talk about what I accomplished last year. One of my proudest moments was finally breaking past the 200-pound weighted dip mark. This was a grind. I believe I started around 170 pounds and was able to add a total of 35 pounds onto my weighted dip. Then surprisingly, I was even able to get a straddle planche hold for just a few seconds. This, however, wasn't super impressive because I was using like a higher elevated parallel bars. And if you didn't know already, the higher the elevation just means that you're going to be decreasing the leverage in terms of the planche specifically, which in turn to make the exercise a little bit easier. Then I wish I really recorded this, but I was able to hit a PR of 8 handstand push-ups without the wall. And like I said, I really wish I recorded this, but I think the one that I did record was like about 6 or 7 repetitions in a row. So that was a pretty cool goal to get, because the handstand push-ups was one of my favorite skills to learn and to like essentially master. And then finally, I was able to get a 420-pound barbell back squat, but I did stop squatting specifically with the back squats before the end of the year as I transitioned more so to the front barbell squats. That said, here are my new goals for the year 2024. Now, obviously, I'm going to continue to increase my strength and my weighted calisthenics movements. So for the weighted dips, I aim to get 225 pounds for 3 reps. And then the weighted chin-ups, I'm trying to get a 160-pound weighted chin-up for 3 reps as well. And then finally, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I want to get a 45-pound weighted handstand push-up. Yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy to say that I'm even at that point where I can comfortably do handstand push-ups, but the fact that I'm trying to do it weighted, like, yo, I'm kind of excited for the gains that I'm gonna get, because I definitely do attribute the handstand push-ups and its variations to my shoulder gains. And we all know what weighted calisthenics could do to your physique and strength. So yeah, exciting news for sure. But anyways, that's not all. I'm also gonna be continuing to train the front barbell squats, and I'm really shooting for 315 on the front barbell squats for 3 reps. And I think because I accomplished the 4-plate back squat, I noticed that I was getting a lot of like lower back tension and this overall systemic fatigue after my low bar squats. And because of my anthropometry, like the back squat just doesn't really suit my body that well. If you didn't know, I have a long femur and a shorter torso. So what that does is push you in a less optimal position in terms of like that upright barbell squat that everyone wants to have. So with me, it becomes a lot more difficult to essentially get into that squat depth because of that, you know, just like that body, I guess, my body's just not suited for doing a back barbell squat. So whenever I made the switch for the front barbell squats, I noticed that I can naturally get into a even deeper squat depth regarding like, you know, having good technique as well. But that was the one thing I really noticed was I'm getting more depth in my squat, which in turns will allow just like a better emphasis on the quads compared to the back squat, because I am getting more depth. And of course, I literally don't feel any kind of like lower back tension, if anything, because it is more of an anterior chain focused movement, meaning you're working muscles more so on the front of your body. You will experience some kind of core engagement. I wouldn't say it's gonna be like that crucial where you like start getting sore in your abs and stuff, but like you will have to like really engage your core to efficiently execute the front squats. But I think because my calisthenics, I've kind of just conditioned my core naturally, so it's not really using much of my core strength. But anyways, let's talk about skills. Now, I will say this, my new workout split for the year is gonna be heavily focused on skill training. So my new objective is to essentially reobtain my straddle planche, but on a lower elevated surface. So I'm gonna be using like the wooden parallel bars and eventually probably do like on the floor too. And then also I wanna reobtain my full front lever. And if y'all didn't know already, I did obtain a full front lever like back in 2021, but as soon as I got it, and it was only like 2 or 3 second hold, I just stopped training it and focused more so on learning like the 1-arm pull-up. So I was like, let me just switch a pulling movement or a pulling skill to another pulling skill. And I just didn't really care about the front lever, to be honest. So that's why I'm kind of shifting my program specifically for the front lever to kind of reobtain that, and of course the planche. That said, now that y'all know what I accomplished last year and my goals for this year, I want to point out this. My workout split for this year is not going to be like the most optimal approach in terms of like building muscle and hypertrophy. And that's really because like I don't really have much muscle building goals or just muscle mass that I want to grow in particularly, especially like my upper body. Maybe like, you know, the little muscle groups like the lateral delt, the long-headed triceps, you know, the brachialis. But like other than that, like I'm really comfortable with my upper body. If I wanted to put any more muscle mass, I would rather put that to my lower body. But you know, again, I'm still focusing this kind of like workout routine primarily for skills. So don't get me wrong, like, you know, it's still kind of decent for hypertrophy. I'm getting enough training volume. Everything's trained twice per week, but I just know for a fact that it's not optimal. I'm not taking it the same route that I was like the last 4 or 5 years of my training. And it kind of goes to show, like I literally took the last 4 or 5 years of my training specifically for muscle growth. You know, I was going through countless bulks and cutting cycles. I was making sure I was training everything a minimum of 2 times per week, sometimes even 3, depending on like the lagging or neglected muscle groups. And everything was just structured in a way where it just made sense from a bodybuilding perspective, right? So a coach who does bodybuilding would be like, yeah, this dude is definitely following like a route that, you know, induces muscle hypertrophy, even though he still trains calisthenics. So just keep that in mind. So here's how my new workout split is going to look like. Now it's going to be a minimum of 4 days, but a maximum of 5 days in terms of the training days. The first session will be skill-based with a strength-based focus. That includes the front lever, planche, weighted handstand push-ups as my compounds. Then I end the session with some accessory work to still craft my physique with lateral raises and calf raises. This day is pretty much similar to what I've been doing for the last 2 years, so nothing really new here for me because, you know, it is kind of similar to that skill upper lower workout split that I kind of been preaching about the last 2 years. Then for my second session, this will be a shocker, but I'm transitioning from an upper session to now more of a full body session, but this is gonna be focused as well as strength. So this will include my 3 primary compound lifts: weighted dips, weighted chin-ups, and the front barbell squats in that exact order. And then I'll finish off the session with some upper body accessories, including the bicep curls and tricep extension to help tweak my physique to isolate those smaller muscle groups like I mentioned before. So this is gonna be pretty much a full body session with a focus on the upper body. Now, Cobra, why in the world are we doing the dips, the chins, and the squats all in the same session? Now, y'all might be thinking I'm crazy. Shit, while I was kind of drafting this workout split for me, I was like, I had some doubts, but then I realized powerlifters do the same thing. You know, they train the squats, the deadlifts, and also the bench in the same session as well. And that's because that's their primary lifts. That's what they're essentially judged upon as their competition lifts. And one thing I noticed, and I spoke to powerlifters directly, and I've also seen YouTube videos on like their splits and how they periodize the training, but they always like do 2 out of 3 compound lifts in the same session. So it can be either like, I don't know, like the squats and then the bench same session. And then it could be even doing all 3 compound lifts in the same session. But one thing I noticed was they are varying their intensities. They're adjusting the variation sometimes, or even just, you know, reducing the amount of reps and sets throughout the week. So they're not going hard on all 3 movements multiple times per week, right? So that's one thing that they made sure. And I was like, you know what? I'm pretty much taking that same approach as a weighted calisthenics street lifter, I guess you would call that. And, you know, doing the dips, the chins, and then also squats is fairly the same. And they're all different movement patterns. So I don't see myself incurring any kind of like lingering fatigue as long as I'm training it 2 times per week. I'm varying the intensities, rep ranges, you know, all that good stuff. So yeah, we should be good. And I actually tried it out. And one big pro of this particular full body routine was that it saved me a lot of time because, you know, I'm just focusing on 3 big compound movements, and then I do like 2 isolation exercises and I'm done. Like literally an hour and 30 minutes in the gym, I'm done, right? Back then when I was doing my upper sessions, bro, it would take a minute. You know what I mean? Like doing 4 compound movements and then 2 isolations. Like, bro, that would take a minimum of like an hour and 45 to like 2 hours type deal. Like that's that time in the gym literally adds up. So pretty much my first 2 sessions are strength based. And what I mean by that is I'm training relatively within the lower rep ranges or hold ranges, anywhere between 3 to 5 reps or 3 to 6 second holds. Then will be another skill day. Same exercises, but this time I'm keeping it centered more on volume. So I'll be training within the higher rep ranges. Following that will be my second full body day, and again, it being centered around more volume. But this time, it'll be lower body bias. So instead of training the bicep curls and tricep extensions to keep my leg and upper body volume somewhat proportionate, I'll be training the leg extensions and hamstring curls instead. Slight adjustment, but I believe this will kind of just help proportion and balance everything in terms of like, my physique, my strength, and its overall volume, as well as recovery as well, I believe. So that said, there's 4 days that I just mentioned, but I will say this, that this is gonna be my for sure workout split that I'm gonna adhere to. But in addition to that, I'll have a fit day, and this is gonna be more so towards, having an accessory-based day, almost like a freebie day, because I noticed that my whole priority when it comes to like making this workout split was to focus on just time management. I didn't want to put too much time in the gym. I wanted to reduce the amount of days that I spent in the gym, but I still wanted to make it optimal in terms of like progressing in strength, building muscle. So having that fit day for accessories, such as like doing, leg accessories or arm accessories, or even just doing like mobility routines, kind of gives me that freedom and flexibility of like, if I want to hit the gym, I could do so. But if I don't hit it, for that fit day, it's not gonna like affect my growth or progress, right? Because I noticed like, especially towards the end of my 2023 year, I was skipping a lot of my fit day sessions, and that kind of took away volume from like skill training or like my leg volume. So I was like, I gotta figure things out, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think this is a great way to essentially get the best out of a lot of the worlds, calisthenics, weighted calisthenics, legs, and then also just putting more time to myself, my personal life, having time to create content and just bang out as much videos as I can. Because I've been going kind of hard on YouTube, if you haven't been noticing. I'm trying to post like 2-3 times per week. And 2024 is gonna be the year for that, like no cap. So that's pretty much it, man. I believe it's a well thought out split in terms of like improving my calisthenics skills, my weighted calisthenics strength, and then of course, still getting in some volume for like that hypertrophy based training approach. But yeah, man, let me know what y'all doing for the new year. Are y'all having the same split? Are y'all having a different routine? Are y'all following a hybrid approach? Because I know hybrid training can get very unique and creative because it's really dependent on the individual goals. So yeah, just let me know in the comments, what are y'all doing? What are y'all's goals and how y'all planning on approaching it? But hey, what do I know? If y'all want to see more content like this, be sure to follow, man. I'm a tough fitness guy out here, no cap.
Cobra Trains, he's up next. Make sure y'all subscribe to him. He's #1 out here.
He's the toughest fitness guy out here.